ever evolving.
Hey, it's your girl
The ever
Angela
evolving. This your podcast. The ever evolving. The ever evolving.
Hey, y'all, it's your girl Angela Cherie back for another episode. I can't believe it, y'all. This is the last episode of season 2. This has been a great season. Great season. I have learned a lot. I have found a lot of areas to improve for season 3, and I'm super excited for season 3. But tonight, we're closing out strong. We have Mr. Jarrell of Good Men Exist podcast. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you, Miss Angela?
You know, I'm good. I'm hanging in there, right? That's the best we can do right now. So I'm super excited about this episode. All of my girlfriends can't wait for it to drop, okay? Because we need your insight. We need your perspective. As you all know, we are in this series, Ladies Room and the Man Cave, and we are bridging the gap of communication and understanding between men and women. Okay, so we just talking. We're talking about what women want, what men want, and hopefully coming to a common ground to help us understand each other better and to love better. That's the goal. That's why I did this, right? So before we jump into all of that good stuff, let the people know who you are and what it is that you do.
For sure. So, as you have said, I am Jarrell. I am the host of the Good Men Exist podcast, currently in season 2. Season 1 started in January of this year, and season 2 has been going pretty well. And I've gotten a pretty good response, from both women and men. And kind of much like your series here, my podcast kind of spans over, a longer period of time. But I feel like a lot of the things that people question, I hope to provide perspective. I always tell people on my podcast that I try not to provide advice. I would much rather provide perspective. And then that way you can take what you hear and decide to throw it away, keep it, take bits and pieces, And so whatever works best for your situation, I always encourage people to do that first over anything you hear from me or anyone else.
For sure. I love that. And so let's go ahead and give that disclaimer, because I think we said that last time, or we said it like towards the end. None of this that we talk about is like law. Like our perspective, our opinions aren't law. But like you said, I do like to hopefully shine light on a different perspective and make us think, especially as women. I think sometimes when we want advice about men, or when we want to understand you all more, we go to women. And I think that's a little backwards. Like we go to our homegirl, girl, what you think about this? And why do men do this? She ain't a man, sis. She's going to tell you based on her experience with the men she's been with. But then you go to a guy, he's like, nah, it ain't nothing. Nah, you off, sis. So I think that this is super important for us to get a different perspective other than the ones just around us or from other women. So I'm so excited. So before we jump into some of the juicy stuff, I want to start with the question. We did this last episode. For you, Mr. Jarrell, what are some of your non-negotiables? Those things that you're like, listen, I gotta have this. I gotta have this. If she ain't got that, she out.
Yeah. That's a great question. I'll try to narrow it down to like top 2, top 3. So one of my biggest things is communication, but I need to put like a slash there because I need to add comprehension to that. Sure. And the main reason I say that is because I can be an excellent communicator, but if I'm not speaking to you in a way that you understand truly what I want or what I need, then there's always going to be that disconnect, right? So communication / comprehension, we have to be, and that's kind of compatibility as well. So how compatible we are to be able to move through different conversations, to be able to move through different traumas or issues or whatever it is that we may have in life, and to know that you're loyal. I'm gonna have your back. You're gonna have mine, and there's not an instance where I feel like I'm alone wherever I am when we're supposed to be together.
Yeah.
So I would say communication, comprehension. That's one, and loyalty. But I don't mean loyalty strictly as in, oh, don't go talk to anybody else. Don't go. I mean complete loyalty in that. When I say team, I 100% mean team. Right or wrong, we will figure it out. We will get it together. So I definitely my top 2 would be those.
I love
Don't
that
have them.
loyalty. I've never, I've never heard a man really say that, but I think that's super important. Like, I don't want to have to worry about you. Like, I don't want to have to worry about if you're gonna have my back. I don't want to have to worry about, like you said, if something goes down, I want to know that we're gonna rock this out together. We're rolling together no matter what. That's really good. I'm gonna have to make sure I got that on my list. Okay, so again, these are just icebreaker questions. I just am curious from a male's perspective, and it if you listen to the woman's perspective in this, it's funny how we think a little differently. So that's why I'm kind of asking. There's a rhyme to and reason for it.
I understand.
So do you enjoy being single more or being in a relationship?
Great question. So currently, I am single, and it's more so by choice. And I think the main reason, for at least for now, that it's a choice is because I don't know that at this point in time that I would be able to provide the best version of myself to a woman. I'm getting close. I'm getting there, but obviously I'm aware of things that I need to work through and kind of eradicate from my repertoire of love, if you will, to get that out of the way. So when I do approach somebody, she understands that, hey, I'm complete as I can be for right now. I don't need you to come in and complete me. I don't need you to come in and heal me. I just need you to, understand me as I am, and let's work through things. So for right now, I think it's in my best interest to be. And what I like, in the next couple months to a year, maybe to explore that, of course, I would love I'll say the idea now because it's not current, but I would love the idea of meeting someone who I can just gel with, genuinely create a friendship with, and explore that into a new level. So I always say start with friendship, as cliche as that may sound, but it's foundation.
It's important. It's super, super important. And come on, repertoire of love. I caught that.
Yeah.
I caught the vocab. But
that came out of nowhere. I didn't know where that came from. I was like, I'll just use it.
But I love that. That's super mature and wise of you as well, because a lot of times we do jump into things before we're really ready for it, before we're healed, before we've dealt with our traumas, before we've dealt with previous relationships, and we bring all of those things into our relationships and they crumble. And sometimes we feel like, oh, love is enough. Well, I loved you, but it's so much more than that. And I think that we really have to be aware of that listen, if I'm not ready, as good as you look and as nice as you may be, I'm gonna have to let it. So I love that. I love that responsibility. Okay, so let's break it down. Let's get into some things that I hear a lot of my guy friends say, and I want to hear your perspective on it, or clarity, or maybe it's completely off base and they just whatever, but I want to hear, because I've heard these things before. One of them, or the first one, is when women say stuff like, I don't need a man. I don't need a man. I'm good. I don't need a man. I've heard men say, even to me in the past, because I wouldn't do it on purpose, but I've heard them say, well, if you don't need me, then why am I here? And it makes me think that men feeling needed is super, super important. And I don't know. I don't think women even pay attention to that, because in my previous relationships, I would do things like, well, I'm going to go do this. He would say, we are going to go do. And I was like, well, no, I don't mean any harm. I'm just saying we are going to. And that was like, there was contention in our relationship constantly, because he would always say, well, if you got it and you don't need me, then what you got me here for? And I would be like, what? So let's dive into that. Is that really important to, at least you as a man? Of course, every man is different, but is that important to you to feel needed?
That's a great question, because I feel like there's probably like 15 different dynamics and ways that you could break that down. So for me, I always tell women this, whether I'm with them or their friends, is that you are the only person that you're stuck with through the entirety of your journey on this earth. So whether you feel like you would like me in your life, whether you feel like you want me in your life, or you need me in your life, only you can make that decision. So if you say to me, hey, I don't need a man for this, I'm going to take that as, okay, cool, you're secure in whatever area that we're discussing or we're talking about. So I'll allow you to be in the front there because like you don't need me to come and ahead of you and help you with this. Like, take for example, if you get stuck on the side of the road, right, and it's just a flat tire, nothing crazy with your engine or anything, and you call me, you say, hey, just so you know, I'm on the side of the road, I got a flat. I'm like, all right, cool. Do you want me to like come through, or want me to call AAA for you? You're like, nah, it's cool. I got it. And I'm not going to take offense to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, damn, I was just trying to help. You know what I'm saying? Because that's very easily can be taken that way. It's more so me understanding that, hey, you got this. And if you wanted me or you needed me, hopefully that communication is there for you to tell me, and then I can act on that.
Okay. So would you say that a guy that would, because that's me, like I probably wouldn't even call. I probably would tell you after the fact, hey, this happened. Got it fixed though. I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's bad. But if there's, you're like, okay, cool. You know, she called, she let me know, she got it. But would you say that a man that may not react in that way or respond in that way that says, oh, so you just, why you didn't call me? Like, is that a level of insecurity? Like, what is that? Because I've had where they weren't, like, I've never heard your perspective where it's like, she got that, so I'm gonna let her have that. As long as she communicates, I'm gonna let her have that. But what is that when he doesn't accept that? Like, she has it, and it's like he gets a little,
So so I would definitely want to know, simply because like this world is crazy. So like if you're on the side of the road, like, babe, let me know at least. So if I don't hear from you in an hour, now I know to start, cooking or something like that.
Concern,
But, from the perspective of insecurity, I think it could be one or both of an insecurity and or an ego thing. So for men, we're men, like we're macho, we can fix things, we can do things, we want to come to the rescue, we want to be Superman. And so when our Lois Lane tells us, no, Superman, go ahead and set this one out. Like, what I go to the gym for? Like, you don't see what I'm working with here? Like, so it's a ego shot. It's small, but that's why I said it's so important to understand that, hey, it's not a shot at you. It's just that you got it. And if it was something else, I know if you called me, I would be there.
Okay. I'll do better. No, but that helps. And I get it. And I think the thing that I hear most is just communication. Because I think that if you let the person know or let the guy know in the beginning, like, hey, this, and this, I got that, I got it. So that he knows and he doesn't expect to be needed in those areas. So
correct.
I got you. Okay. Yeah. Moving on. So in dating, right? A lot of times women complain because men seem to have a very different view of what dating looks like. I would say in contrast to women, because women meet a man, they're interested, and they're spending a lot of time with the man. They're going out, hanging out, maybe even, spending the night, whatever,
Right.
And so they're thinking, oh, this me,
right.
this me. And the guy is like, no, I just enjoy your company, and you're nice and you're sweet. We have great conversation. And so a lot of women get thrown off by that. They get their feelings hurt by that. They get angry by that. Don't let them go out and see them with somebody else. They acting a fool, because I think that, I don't know. But I think that we think that attention just means something. But I'm not like that. I'm like, okay, cool. But I've seen a lot of my girlfriends get their feelings hurt and feel like in some way they were disrespected or he didn't communicate something to them when it's only dating. But speak to that, like what's going through you all's mind when you meet a woman and you're spending time with her and you're just enjoying her company. Is it y'all are just trying to figure out where this is going? Is it just fun time? Like, what is all of that? Break it down for us.
Sure. Yeah, it's funny that you ask that question, because 2 weeks ago I did an episode on men and commitment. And
yes, you did.
This falls, and so this kind of falls in line. And obviously, like I said, if I did a full series, it would probably be like 10 episodes, because I forget 10 or thousands of questions. But
Mm-hmm.
so when a man is interested in a woman, I feel like the only way that he's going to advance that to anything more is if he really, really likes her. And she has to be way different than anything that he has had previously to make him want to dive into that.
Yeah.
So if I just want companionship, like I just want a Netflix no chill or Netflix and chill,
Yeah.
again, it goes back to communication of, hey, listen, just so you know, here's what it is. And the difficult part of that is being honest, because some women are like, nah, it's
Yes.
no chill. You know what I'm saying? But if I bring you over here and then I'm touching on you, whatever, and you're not feeling that, I didn't provide you the opportunity to say no off the bat. Like, hey, this is not me. So as much as women may want to try to dive inside of our heads and things that we're
Yeah.
thinking of, it's up to us to communicate that as well. And hopefully that there's a certain level of honesty and a healthy friendship, probably early in those stages, to where
Yeah.
I can say that to you and we can just be
Yeah.
honest. And if you want exclusivity, you should tell me. A lot of
Yeah.
times women just think that
Yeah.
it should be that way because we've gone on 17 dates and we slept over twice and you got a toothbrush at the house. And we go, nah, dog. Like,
Nah,
not
sis.
quite.
Nah, sis.
But to me, it's weird that society, I guess we'll air quote society, has it that women can't ask for what they want when it comes to a relationship.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I, I, it's weird to me because I don't want to, like sexually, right? If you like a certain thing and, home dude never did it, would you really expect him to know to do it if you didn't tell him that you liked it?
And we got that real bad as women. Like, we talked about that, like feeling like y'all should know, but a
Mm-hmm.
closed mouth don't get fed.
You right. So eat up. Like, listen, my thing is that I understand the concept of a man pursuing a woman. I understand
Yeah.
the courting period. I understand how that's important, but I also
Right.
understand, like, hey, we don't have to be on the same page, but we at least need to be in the same chapter, like at
Okay.
the same, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you are at a point where you want to make this exclusive and you feel like things have been leading that way, then let me know. Maybe I'm, for whatever reason, I don't know how you feeling, so I don't say
Yeah.
anything, and you don't know how I'm
Yeah.
feeling, so you don't say anything. So what does that lead back to? Communication.
Just wasting time, just sitting around. But no, that's very true. It's funny. All of these lead to communication, effective communication, and I
Right.
think that, I'm gonna be honest. I be feeling like men aren't always honest about what it
Mm-hmm.
is they really want either. I know women
Yeah.
don't. Because they'll be like, no, I'm cool. You don't need no title. It's cool. But then you be looking
Yeah.
crazy because it's like, okay, he ain't stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think men do that too. Like, they garner your interest, and then it's like, you're chilling, you hanging out, and his actions do show like that he's probably more interested than he really is. And he never
Mm-hmm.
just sometimes men don't just come out and say, I'm just having fun. And I
Right.
always say, I can respect your honesty. Like, I respect your
Mm-hmm.
honesty more than your dishonesty. So if you were to tell me you just trying to kick it, cool. You ain't got to lie to kick it. Like, tell me that's
Right.
what you want, and that's what it'll
Mm-hmm.
be. But when you lie about it, that's what we're going to have a problem. Because now you wasted time. Now you've wasted, I'm thinking one thing. And so I do think both men and women need to do better about being honest about what you want, what we're doing. And it
Yeah.
is difficult, because I've struggled with that, because I don't be want to feel like, I don't want to feel like I'm, doing too much, I don't
Correct.
know. But I'm like,
I think overall we need to work on, especially men, vulnerability. Like, we're too
listen.
afraid.
Wait, hold on. Say it again.
Yeah, we 100% need to work on being vulnerable. And I understand. Again, it kind of goes back to that man is an ego thing. Like, anything that makes us to feel uncomfortable, especially is a deterrent. Like, nah, I'm not with that. Like, why is it so difficult to say, I really like her? Like, she could be it. Like, women say it all the time. Like, oh my goodness, he could be.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, feeling that, right? And
But
then,
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, and the thing about a man who's interested is if he's willing to be vulnerable with himself and with you, there's nothing in this world that's going to prevent him from pursuing you wholeheartedly, removing anything
Yeah.
else from
Yeah.
the picture and focusing on you.
But what's crazy is I feel like men struggle with vulnerability until they lose you. And I always say that, like, until his fear of losing you usually is greater, you know, he usually doesn't really do move. You know, it's kind of like
Yeah.
comfortable. It's comfort
Mhm.
because that's what's comfortable. The vulnerability is uncomfortable. But then when you become distant, you stop calling, and you kind of like, then they find this courage to then be vulnerable. And that is so
Mhm.
confusing to me because I'm always like, that little moment of vulnerability that you had in order to get me back or to at least get my attention back in your direction.
Mhm.
You know, if you did that all the time, right, this probably would be an easier situation.
Right.
So it's like, it's not that you don't know how, you just choose when
Mhm.
you're going to be vulnerable. And that, I ain't gonna lie, that gets on my nerves. That gets on my nerves because I can see if you just did not know how. Because some people don't. I can see if you
Mhm.
didn't know how, you weren't taught. Those are things that you're working through.
Right.
But I see you do it when you can feel me inching back, or you see somebody giving me attention on social media, or you see me,
Mhm.
post something and you don't really know where I'm going.
Right.
Then you become vulnerable.
It's I made this up, and maybe it exists in some psychology book somewhere, but I call it the arrival departure syndrome. And essentially, it means that your emotions are always the highest either when someone's coming into your life or when they're going out of your life.
You know
So
what?
so that speaks exactly to what you were saying. So their
Yeah.
emotions are heightened. They're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do without her? She always cooked for me. She held me down. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was this,
Yeah.
and that. So the key is obviously for both men and women is
Yeah.
learning to exhibit that within, like kind of like you said, within that relationship to where, you know, it's impossible to keep it steady throughout the relationship because we're humans. It's going to fluctuate. Some
And
days it's going
life
to be 50%
happens. Yeah.
of us. Yeah, it's going to be 80. Some days it's going to be 100. It's going to be magical. But the key is that even when we only feel like giving 50, make 50% feel like 100 still. But also be aware, like, hey, if I need my time, if I need my space, like give me that time because I'm only at 50 right now and I don't want to talk to you a certain way. I don't want to treat you a certain way, but allow me to
Right.
come back and have that understanding that, hey, I will come back and we will get it figured out.
Yeah. That's good. Arrival departure syndrome. You better preach to that. Okay, so lastly, I hear a lot of men say this. I hear a lot of men say that women aren't patient with them, that we have a low tolerance towards them trying to get it together, especially, I guess, early 30s, late 20s, trying to learn how to become a man, um,
Yeah.
trying to navigate through this thing called life. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of my guy friends are just like, I was patient with her, I helped her through school, I did this. But then when it comes to me, she isn't as patient. So talk to that and maybe help us as women to understand what that really looks like, because I think we feel like we are being very patient and tolerant,
Yeah,
but something is getting lost in translation.
for sure. And for the record, I think majority of women are probably more patient than men give them credit for. Uh, because again, we like to work on our own time, like most people.
Yes.
But if I were to break it down as, I'm trying to think of a good example here. So he's like, oh, I helped her through school, and I'm trying to help her get to where she's going. I think that there has to be an understanding of what the goal is, like where are you headed? And I think if that
Yeah.
is, it doesn't have to be clearly defined, but it needs to be defined to a point where if you get to a certain point, like that we agreed on, like, hey, let's, get here. And then, let's focus on me and what I want to do. Like you started your business and I supported, I held down my house while you were doing that. So now I want to do my thing. Don't hit me with the, you too
Yeah.
old for that. What do you mean I'm too old for that? Like I was young when I was trying to help you, you know what I'm saying? So I think with outlining that, like saying, hey, here's where we want to be, and it don't have to be a year. It could be like 3 months, 6 months, but where are we trying to go? And again, like I said, that's big on communication and really understanding that, patience comes from understanding. I'm impatient when I don't know what's happening. I don't know where we're going.
That's true.
It makes it so much easier for me to be like, yo, like, so what's up? But if this is something that we talk about consistently and we have that level of understanding, that eradicates a lot of that impatience, in my opinion.
Like they say in church, if you can't do nothing, say also amen. Okay. So that was good. That was good. So we're going to break it up a little bit. And I want to ask you, what to you is like a turn on, or like the sexiest thing a woman can do for you, or something that she can do that really makes you feel all warm and fuzzy and special?
I'm super simple. So I know y'all probably can't see all of me, but I'm low key fat. I like snacks.
You know what? I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm not even gonna let you do that. I'm okay. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nah, I'm telling you, Angela. Like, if a woman brings me donut, like I like pastries, so I like donuts. I like cookies, danishes. Like, it could be small. Like, if you just come home with Krispy Kreme, I'm like looking at you like, what you trying to do? You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
So, to me, it's small, but those small things add up to the big majority.
For sure.
And I will take that any day over, her. Like, I know what's big now is like, oh, you gonna buy me a PS5? Like, I don't get them that. I can buy myself a little PS5.
Yeah.
Donuts. What's up?
It's in the donuts. But I like that, and I ask that because I do think sometimes, I know me, I do things big. I do. And sometimes, most times men are very simple. And I've gotten that like, oh, thank you, oh my God. But then it's also that like, because they don't know how to receive something like a big grand thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm learning how to kind of do for them as, I guess, what they would want, not like what I would want or what I think is special, but what's special to him. And so I think that's super important for us women to hear. Sometimes it's the simple things. It isn't a whole lot of, it's just that I love snacks too. You give me some zebra cakes and I'm happy. I'm for real. So that's good. I love it. And don't get mad if you start getting stuff in your P.O. box and your mail, sweet stuff. Because I'm telling you, they watching and they going to be.
That's everything.
Okay. So when we did the ladies room episode, I asked a few of my guy friends. I'm so excited about this part. Oh my God. So I asked a few of my guy friends, what were some things they had questions about as it pertains to women or wanted clarity on. And me and Reed, we broke down some things. But I asked my lady friends for this one.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. They gave me some good stuff. And it's funny because when I asked my guy friends, they were like, I don't know. I got to really think about it. I don't really have anything, Women were like, oh, how many do you need? 1, 2. Sent me a list. I'm like, girl. And then told me, I got more if you need it.
Dang,
so
okay.
I'm excited about these. I really am. So the first one is, why do some men, I put some, she didn't put some, but I put some. Why do some men not listen, but run to their partners when they have a problem? So they don't want to hear your mouth. They don't want to hear nothing you got to say. But when they need you, they want to hear what you got to say. They want to run to you. What is that? Why is that?
That's a great question. Why would I? I'm trying to put myself in those.
For sure. I just feel like they think they know everything, and then they go find out they don't.
Listen, it goes back to that being a man thing. It's like I will dig myself this hole, not realizing that I'm in the hole already, and all I'm doing is just digging myself deeper. And then I'm like, oh damn, now I need a rope. Hey, babe, that rope that is in the garage, can you throw that down here, please? And it's ego, man. I think a lot of the times is we do. I don't want to say this, but I think it's real though. For some men, it's like we're men, and a woman's opinion in our mind at certain times just doesn't add up to what we think because we're a man. We don't want to hear it. as wrong as that could be, I think that's true in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
So that's how I know about it.
All right. Next question. If you love me, why do you cheat? Now, I'm almost gonna ask this because, again, this is a very loaded question, and every man is different. But I've always wondered that, like, because then after you do that, and she doesn't. Now, cheating ain't a deal breaker for me. I'm different. It's not a deal breaker for me. But you're going to have to give me some time to work through some things. We're going to have to figure some things out. Make sure that we don't go through this cycle. But then why you so, I need you. I mean, I wondered that when I've seen the reaction, like, you knew what she was doing. Like, you didn't. Okay. I ain't going to go into detail. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What, you know, I don't know.
Well, Angela, let me open my book of man wrote. No, I don't have no book. But so here's, did I do an episode Men and Cheating? I might have did Men Need to Make Mistakes. I think that was my name of my episode. And the reason, pretty much to give you the synopsis, the reason I said that men need to make mistakes is typically to realize what they need not to do in the future to keep something. So, for example, I give the example of I could date 6 women, and I'll use myself for this. I could date 6 women, and let's just say we keep in touch. Light touch, we kind of maybe follow each other on Instagram or Facebook, whatever it is. But we have some kind of some sight into my present, even though you're the past. So now I've dated these 6 women. Woman number 1, I did all kinds of dirty. She hate me, but she still want to know what's going on with me. 2, wasn't as bad. She still hate me too. 3, and it kind of goes on. So 6 wasn't that bad, but it's still, I didn't give her the chance to be everything that I wanted her to be. So now 7 comes along, and I give 7 my entire heart. She gets my money, my heart, my emotion, my everything. And women 1 through 6 is like, first of all, who this heifer and what she got that I don't have? And what women unfortunately need to realize, and men too, is that every woman 1 through 6 was just a step in my elevation of higher understanding of what I needed. Now they see 7 out here getting everything, but what they don't realize is that 7 never would have got everything if I didn't F up 1 through 6.
For sure.
So as difficult as that is to hear, it's necessary. Now, if a man doesn't learn from his mistakes, that's when 1 through 6 is for naught at that point. But if I can take something from everything that I did wrong, and then I can correct that, hopefully don't take 7, but let's just say take like 2 or 3. I'm not out here just ruining women, but then it's worth something. So I think at a certain point, a man realizes that the fear of losing you is greater than the opportunity to keep you. So there's nothing that I would put in jeopardy for us, no matter how good she looks, no matter how rotund she is in all the right places, no matter what she tells me she can do with her hands. Like, I'm too afraid to lose you to ever do that. And I don't care. Like simp is a word now. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, I hate that word. That word.
My boys can be like, oh, you whip. Call it what it is, man. Like, that's my lady. She's my rider. I'm 100% not going to do no dumb shit. And like I said, when a man realizes that level of maturity clicks, women will never have to worry about it. So I don't want to say that he didn't love her because he cheated. I can get that. He probably had love for her, but that love was not at a level in which he was more afraid to lose her.
Yeah, he risked it all. His risk, the risk was
he was all in. He's pushed all his chips in. So that's what you got to deal with.
Yeah, and I think that happens. Sometimes it happens, and I always say this: if I'm with somebody, we had a relationship and it didn't work out, and most of me and my exes are friends. We're cool. Probably should have said that, but we're cool. We're cool. But yeah, if he goes and meets a young lady, like you said, he gives her and I've seen it. He does everything he did not do with me, or he's better in communication or whatever. All the things that I was like wanting him to be with me, he's that with her. It actually makes me feel good because it makes me feel like I would want you to love the next person better, because hopefully something that you learned from your relationship with me, or the love I gave you, or the grace I gave you, or whatever, hopefully it does make you better in the next relationship. If you keep making the same mistakes, then you're not growing or learning from the person you're with. And I think that that is something to be said about you. So I always say, if he's loving her better, it doesn't make me jealous. It doesn't make me feel like, why he doing that for her? It actually makes me feel like he heard me. He got it. And I've had exes come to me and say, you know, because of the way you love me, or because of what you told me and how you told me, I got it with her. And it'd be like, okay, you ain't gotta tell me all that. I don't want to hear it, but I am grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. So I get that. That does help me, see things a little differently. What do men look for? And this is a hard question, because it's gonna vary for every man. But like, I guess staple things that men may look for when they are in pursuit of a woman, not to necessarily have sex with her or to date her, but like, he ready, like he's done his work, he's taken time for himself. So she's talking about like, he's ready, he wants something serious. She wants to know, what do men look for when they're looking for something serious with a woman?
Sure. Like you said, this is going to vary for the man, of course. But one thing that I would say, if it was me, and what I would be looking for is a certain level of stability. And I don't necessarily mean that strictly financially. Just where are you? What were your goals? Where are you now? And then where do you want to go? And so I don't need you to outline a full, like, all right, cool, I'm glad you asked. I have this plan in my pocket here. I can just go over it really quickly. Nah, I just want to know, like, how do I fit in with your goals and where you want to go? And so if you can say, hey, this is what I would like, here's where I would like to go. I was like, all right, cool, that makes sense. So how stable are you emotionally? Like, if I say your ex's name, does it trigger you? Like, that fool Jeremy, like, well, you're not ready. You're not ready, and just having that free flowing emotion to where the only thing that triggers you is things in the present, not the past. And so that means that you're open and available and can be receptive to some of the love that I provide to you. And then you are also at a point where you can give that love back to me. So stability, emotionally available. And also, what is your idea of marriage? Like, we could both want marriage, but if my idea is different than yours, how do we raise kids? Do we go to church every Sunday? Do we have 2 houses? Do we have a car? What about business? What about finances? And again, this all may seem like an interview, but the fact of the matter is it not? Like, are we not trying to see where we can go? And so, as much as people don't like to ask the mundane questions of where do you see yourself in 2 years, understand that asking those questions now can help you weed out things for later. So if there's enough quote unquote, red flags, yellow flags, whatever color you want them to be, now you're saving yourself time, and you're doing both of you a favor, because you're not pushing for something so hard that's not meant to be anyway.
That's good. So that's kind of the next question. You mentioned something, talking about, the next question was turnoffs. Like, what are general turnoffs for men? And I heard you say stability, which I have heard before, especially when it comes to, I guess, younger women, and let me take that back. Women that are just kind of all over the place and not really knowing what they want and what they want out of life. And like you said, having a vision for their future. So I've heard of that being a turnoff. What are some other things that might be a general turnoff for men?
If I'm looking for someone long-term, I hate to say it. So for those who are unfamiliar with me, which may be majority of your audience, I'm big into business. I'm big into finance. So I like to invest my money into different things. And while I don't need her to, be business woman with me, I need there to be a certain level. Like, she's like, hey, I want this new Mercedes for Christmas. And I'm like, cool, but I'm over here trying to do this. So finances for me is really big. I'm not that guy to ask your credit score, because I could care less about your credit score. But I need to know that if we decide to put our money together and
We
our
good.
bank account says 50,000, I'm not gonna look in there one day and it's like 17. I'm like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Like, where's the money
Yeah.
at? You know?
Yeah.
So to me, a woman who would rather put everything on and there's nothing wrong. Sometimes you got to put it on the credit card. Ladies, don't get me wrong. But a woman who just doesn't understand how my mind works with finances, I probably can't do it. And what's funny is that majority of the women that I have been with, at least since I've, been more successful, they haven't made, as much as me. And I've kind of always been the person who made more, but I don't look at them any differently. I still
Yeah.
look at it like, are we still a team? Because we're in this together. If you make 35,000, I really don't care. But as long as we're on the same page of how we want to move, like, I'm cool with that. So that's one thing I would say. And what's another thing that I don't like? I'm pretty clean. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. So if you out here,
yeah, I heard you on your episode talking about ladies, get your pen and paper. Oh, y'all know y'all cars be junky, so get your. I heard what you said.
Did I say that? Was that me? That might have been somebody else. No. Nah, but I just I like a clean space, man. It's my mom's fault and my dad. My dad was like, well, make up your bed when you get out. I'm like, but I'm gonna just get back in. He's like, you gonna make it up? Oh, okay. Not bad.
It's a good habit. It's a healthy habit.
So if I walk in your spot and you got stains everywhere but no kid and no pets, what you doing?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So last question, and I got this question a few times. Believe it or not, no, I believe it. I got this question, a few. I kept seeing it, and I said, okay, I got to ask this one. How does he know? No, it's like, how does he know that he's found the one, or what does that process look like for a man? Because I think a lot of these particular women have seen a lot of stuff, or a man that may not have been ready, and they spent years. In some instances, they've had children. They've done a lot of things, and it's like, okay, how do we know when a man is seriously looking for the one, and how does he come to that conclusion? Because, like you said, he can go through all of these things with you, and then 3 months later, he marries her like that. What is that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good question, because it happened to me. So if y'all care to listen to my season 2, I'll talk about it. The episodes aren't out yet, but it happened to me. And to kind of give you all some background, I'm the guy who was always afraid to let anyone have stock in my emotions, right? So I always wanted to be in control of my emotions and not let anyone have the power to affect me in ways that I didn't want to be affected. So kind of either consciously or subconsciously, I would always keep people at a distance, no matter how close they wanted to be to me. So I would never invest too much of myself into it, although I would be willing to invest the time. And so one of the things I always say is that time is our biggest currency. It's greater than money. It's greater than any investments we can make. It is literally the one thing that we, for the most part, are in control of, and we cannot get back. We can't re-up on it. And so it's weird to think that I will invest 2 years with her, even though I know I'm not there mentally or emotionally. But it's like, I'm comfortable. So I'm cool being here. And so then when a man gets to that point where he is forced, and I mean forced in a good way, he's forced to subconsciously change the way he thinks, to change the way that he goes about his daily actions and thought processes, to where this woman becomes the center of his life. Not that he should be happy by himself, but on the opposite end, she becomes the center of his happiness outside of himself. It completely changes perspective. And so you begin to do things that you wouldn't normally do. You begin to say things, you begin to act certain ways that you wouldn't normally act. And this isn't an action out of consciousness. It is you're drawn to do this. It's just like, she can still do wrong, but you just see her differently. And when you see her differently, there's a certain aura about her where you just know. And when I go back to time and I talk about time has no concept of when you feel about her. So because I know that she's the one for me, at least right now. Like I said, I have a whole nother episode about is there one for you, but I'm not going to dive in that. But I feel like she's the one. Time has no regard to that. So now I don't care about, oh, I need to wait a year, 2, 3 years and be engaged for one. None of that matters. As long as we have communication, we have compatibility, chemistry, we have a foundation that we've built something on, I'm willing to put a ring on it and move forward with that as long as you are. But obviously, I still need to be aware of the signs. That's kind of the double-edged sword of being too emotionally invested, kind of like what I was saying before, is that when you're in love, you begin to do things and see things, like I said, that you wouldn't normally do. But at the same time, there has to be a consciousness about it, that if flags appear, don't disregard the flags because, oh, but she could be or he could be. Yeah. No, you're setting yourself up. As much as you want it, you can't force it. And it's very different from that. So as long as, again, it's in my opinion, invest that time, invest the emotions, be all in. But at any point in time, you feel as though there's something that needs to be addressed, address it. And then if you need to address it again, address it. But at a certain point, realize when you have exhausted your options to where that relationship is no longer beneficial in your life.
Yeah. He said a lot. You see, I ain't say nothing. I was taking all that in.
I'm sorry. I'm out talking, rambling.
No, it's really, really good because I do think that men and women view time very, very differently. And I've heard men say that. I think, and I heard you say this in one of your episodes, how women have this biological clock. And so we're like ready always, for the most part. And men are kind of like, it's gonna take some time, and it's, you want him to be fully invested. So sometimes you have to allow that. So I love that. That was really good. This was good. I learned a lot. I took some notes, some mental notes. I want to go back and listen and watch so that I can remind myself of some things. But let the people know how they can be in contact with you, how they can hear the podcast, and just stay connected to all that you're doing.
Sure thing. So it is Jarrell GME on all your social media platforms. That's JERRELL. The letters G as in goat, M as in Mike, E as in echo. And that's everywhere. So that's on your TikTok, that's on your Twitter, that's on your coming soon to YouTube. I'll start doing YouTube as well. And like I said, episodes drop every Tuesday. Every Tuesday, I got something new for y'all. So, if you enjoy it, let me know. If you think it sucks, let me know. Like, I appreciate the constructive criticism, man. Luckily for me, I've been getting a lot of, positive energy. So that's cool. But I also want somebody to be like, hey, man, you was way off. Don't make no sense. Like, let me know so I can always improve. You know what I mean?
It's really good. It's really, really good. So y'all go and listen to Good Men Exist podcast. Thank you, Jarrell, for joining me. Thank you for helping us.
Thank you for having me, Angela. This is fun. Like I said, I already told you about my season 3, so I'm gonna just need you to be ready when my season 3 drops.
I got you. All right, y'all. Until next time, that was the last episode of season 2. Oh my God. No, I'm excited because we got some more things coming for y'all. We're not done. Okay, we got some more for you. So make sure you stay tuned to Instagram and Facebook and the everevolvingwomen.com website where you can also get some news. Until next time, you are listening to and watching the Ever Evolving Podcast.